Tonight on the Beaver News, an update to OSU's men's basketball, a school in Georgia helping refugees, and tourists in Zambia saving a baby elephant, and of course your local weather update. All that and more right here on the Beaver News.
Good evening and welcome to your Monday night edition of the Beaver News. We're glad to have you with us. I'm Hayden Wilcox.
And I'm Cassady Gilroy. Watch yourself, the trees on the move. No worries though, this is not an attack by sentient trees, rather a huge migration of sorts. As reported by the barometer, many western tree species have been gradually changing their locations. This is due to the increased risks of global warming, insect attacks, diseases, and fires. To avoid these predators, trees have been dispersing their seeds further and further away, while trees that can survive those conditions replace them. Amongst these changes, species such as the commonly found lodgepole pine are expected to be replaced by trees such as ponderosa pines and Douglas firs. Some other areas are expected to shift radically from forest to grass savannas. Richard Waring, a professor in Oregon State University's College of Forestry, said, quote, "Some of these changes are already happening pretty fast and in some huge areas. The forests of our future are going to look quite different."
As incentive to encourage college students to lose weight, the program Healthy Wage is paying students to accept their challenge. The challenge? To lose 10% of their starting weight in 6 months. Students would put up $100 in a gamble to see if they can complete the challenge. Seems like a great idea, and if successful, the reward would be a cool $200 and 10% lighter. Some experts, however, are skeptical of these methods. As reported by the Daily Barometer's Camille Jacobson Ingram, several dietitians and health service educators here at OSU disapprove of the methods used by Healthy Wage, claiming that their methods are too focused on weight and not about the healthy lifestyle. Lynn Cords, dietitian and campus health educator, sees it as a short-term, quick-fix program. Educators say that students should focus more on changing their lifestyles to fit a healthier criteria, focusing on long-term changes and losing a few pounds along the way, instead of jumping into major weight loss programs like this one. Even though there is no incentive-based health program here on campus, there are still several ways you can get in shape and develop healthier life choices. Programs like Beaver Strides, All-You-Can-Eat Vegetable Mondays at Pangea, body acceptance classes, and health coaching can all get you on the healthier track in a safer way.
Despite not wearing black and orange, it was still clear that it was the Beavers who dominated the basketball game last Saturday against Cal State Bakersfield. As reported by Alex Crawford of the Daily Barometer, OSU beat Bakersfield 86-62 in the season opener. For this game, the OSU team wore turquoise uniforms as part of the second annual Nike N7 game, which honors Native American heritages and seeks to promote the sport to Native American communities across North America. Head coach Craig Robinson was pleased with the outcome, saying, quote, "To have a performance like that on the Nike N7 game, which means a lot to a lot of different people, was really nice, but we still have stuff to work out," end quote. This game was one of the 8 non-conference home games that the Beavers will play this year, all of which are against teams outside of the traditional Power 6 conferences.
At the beginning of next month, Gustav Bisbal will take up his newly appointed role as the new director of the Northwest Climate Science Center. As reported by Kim Kenny of the Daily Barometer, Bisbal will now be leading one of the top 8 weather research facilities in the country, headquartered right here at OSU. His resume shows that he's more than qualified for the job, having spent several years at the Policy for the Office of Ocean and Polar Affairs in the Bureau of Oceans, Environment, and Science. He's also worked specifically with the Northwest region several times in his career, having worked as the Senior Science and Policy Analyst in the Northwest Power and Conservation Council from 1994 to 2002. From there, he went on to work in the District Office of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, stationed in Portland from 2002 to 2006, where he managed the Columbia River Basin Water Development Program. The Northwest Climate Service Center, created by the U.S. Department of Interior in 2010, is designed to analyze and predict future climate change patterns of the Northwest and help develop policy regarding this resource management. This means that the research done by the department will greatly affect how farmers and entrepreneurs will plan out their future. The Northwest Climate Science Center also has facilities at the University of Washington and the University of Idaho. In regards to Bisball's appointment, Philip Mote, director of the Oregon Climate Change Research Institute and professor in the College of Oceanic and Atmospheric Sciences here at OSU, said, quote, Gustavo comes with a really terrific understanding of Northwest climate issues and really important players in the situation. He understands how funding and priorities relate while having chops as a researcher.
The Valley Library at OSU will be undergoing changes in the coming years, reports the Daily Barometer. Specifically, the library will be combining the special collections and university archive sections in efforts to provide more consolidated research for students. To be named the Special Collections and Archives Research Center, it will now include 4 areas: university records, history of science, which will also contain the works of Linus Pauling, multicultural archives, and natural resources. Larry Landis, a university archivist and the appointed director for the new center, had this to say, quote, not only will students be able to do more effective research, but students would also be able to see more readily available help and overall expertise. We are constantly thinking about how we can involve students. We now go to Max Newfield with his always entertaining questions in the Quad segment.
With questions Quad, filling in from Brittany Greenfield. Should be good today. So what's your name?
Jessica Perry.
Jessica Perry, very cool. And are you going somewhere special for Thanksgiving? Or are you staying home? Or
I'm going home. I guess that's special, right?
Yeah, very much so. So what's your favorite dish on it? It's like the cranberries or the mashed potato. Or do you guys do that? Some people do duck.
No.
No?
My aunt makes awesome sweet potato, like baked in dark sugar or whatever it is.
Moms have crazy concoctions. I can completely understand. So it's like twice baked sweet potatoes,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, and sugar.
and sugar. So what is your name?
My name is Gobble.
Oh, okay. All right, Gobble. Nice to meet you. And your name?
Gobble.
Also Gobble. All right. It was very cool. That's very cool. So what are your plans for Thanksgiving? Are you guys going away or staying back home or?
We're gonna study because that's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So if you had to be one kind of animal, what would it be? Obviously not a turkey because they get eaten a lot, but or you can be.
I'd probably be a dolphin.
Dolphin. Very cool. Any animal.
I'd be a killer whale.
A killer whale. Very cool. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. You have a great day. 3. What's your name?
Jordan.
Jordan. Nice to meet you. And where are you going for Thanksgiving?
I think I'm going to be staying home with my family in Beaverton.
In Beaverton. Very cool. Woo. So what's your favorite side dish? Is it like cranberries, or is it the potatoes, or?
It's got to be the mashed potatoes and gravy.
Mashed potatoes. Very cool. All right. And one more question. So what grade are you in?
I'm in 11th grade.
11th grade? Oh, very cool. Awesome. So you're just checking it out?
Yeah, I'm here just checking out the scene and everything.
Very cool. And how do you like it?
I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, no problem. Have a good day. All right. Today in the Quad, we have found a wonderful booth where there's free cake and wishes. Let's check it out.
The MU Quad. Today only.
So I'm here. So what is your name?
I'm Christina. Trisha.
I'm Craig.
Craig. Cool. Awesome. And so you have free cake?
Yes.
What is it for?
It's for 11-11-11. We're the MUPC Program Council. So basically, make a wish, throw your coin in the kiddie pool, and then you can have a piece of cake.
It was quite good. It was good cake. Very well done.
Good, thanks.
Good cake.
Dance.
And this has been Max Newfields with Questions of the Quad, filling in for Brittany Greenfield. And I've got free cake, so back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Max. Time magazine has called him the world's best green journalist. The Boston Globe lists him as probably the nation's leading environmentalist, and now he's coming to Oregon State to be our debut speaker for the new Discovery Lecture Series. I'm talking, of course, about Bill McKibben, activist and writer of the book End of Nature, the first book published on global warming designed for a general audience. His book, first published in 1989, has since been translated into 22 languages. Since then, he has written about 14 additional books, including topics that include global warming and climate change. As reported by the university, Vice President for Research Rick Spinred said, quote, "Our students and faculty and members of the community will have the opportunity to engage with Mr. McKibben around ideas and values that lie at the heart of Oregon State University's research agenda. And those are exactly the kind of experience we hope the Discovery Lecture Series will provide," end quote. A free lecture by Mr. McKibben will be given at 7 p.m. at the Alumni Center Ballroom on Thursday, November 17th. It will then be followed by a lecture on the following morning at 9 a.m. at the Benton County Fairgrounds as part of the Local Foods Breakfast with Bill McKibben. Tickets to that event will cost $15. The Discovery Lecture Series, as it's being called, is a project designed to bring in prestigious scientists, writers, and policymakers to OSU to discuss national and international matters of importance.
Student loans haunt everyone, but as reports the Daily Barometer, it might affect more people than we think. At OSU alone, approximately 60% of students take out loans each year, and the average debt of graduating students will be around $22,000, according to Doug Severs, the Director of Financial Aid and Scholarships. In a recent poll by Generation Opportunity, a nonprofit organization that seeks to educate Americans on the nation's challenges, more than 1 in 4 Americans aged 18 to 29 report that they will have to delay repaying student loans and other debt because of the poor state of the economy. Paul Conway, the president of Generation Opportunity and former U.S. Department of Labor Chief of Staff, says, quote, "The heart of the matter here is that young Americans need jobs in order to repay any debts, including student loans, and to plan for the future. Elected officials in both parties should put as much energy into allowing the private sector to create jobs as they do preparing for the next election." We're taking a quick break, but we'll be back with the national stories as well as a weather update. Stay tuned.
She was the passenger. I was T-boned on the passenger side.
We just had some wine. I wasn't even drunk, I was just buzzed.
What? You were just buzzed? Well, sir, you didn't tell us that. In that case, she's just fine.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Really?
No, not really.
Buzz driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
Horseradish. Is that for horses? Remember me, Mr. Lobster? From last Tuesday? Banana. 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 Here comes the rain. We need a hat. And why do we need a hat? They jot. That's right.
When you talk with your child, you build vocabulary, and learning starts long before school does. For more tips, go to bornlearning.org.
I remember how much you said you liked wine.
Oh.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you.
Sir, are you okay?
Everything's fine. Thanks.
You wouldn't ignore this, so why ignore the signs of a stroke? Call 911 immediately, because time lost is brain lost.
Welcome back to the Beaver News live on Channel 26. A new school in Atlanta, Georgia is providing help in the form of education for refugees of several different countries. CNN reports that the Global Village School, a private institution that survives on grants, donations, and volunteer help, has been developed in order to deal with the rise in refugees in Clarkston. The program has been designed to help young girls who have poor English skills develop and integrate those skills so that they can one day function in our public school system without falling behind. As of now, there are 6,000 refugees in the town of Clarkston, ranging from Somalia, Ethiopia, Bosnia, Iraq, Iran, Nepal, Vietnam, and Myanmar. According to the mayor of the town, large amounts of vacant apartments and complexes in the 1990s is what brought them to Clarkston. Despite the 90-minute commute from the town to the school, the girls say that they are extremely happy with the school. Girls who are enrolled are placed in the grade that best fits their education level and can stay there until the end of 12th grade.
Remember the Marvel superhero Daredevil, who uses sound to see? Well, Daniel Kish is no superhero, but he is using the same skills. As reported by CNN, Kish is completely blind, losing sight in both eyes by the age of 13 months, but he can see using his ears. Standing on a boating dock, Kish is able to sense and even approximate distances to pylons and boats that are 50 feet away from him. He does this via a process known as echolocation, similar to how bats and dolphins navigate their surroundings. By clicking his tongue or tapping objects with his walking stick, he listens for the sound to bounce back to him of the surroundings, which to him appears dim flashes of light in a sort of brief scan of the object. Kish looks to help blind people learn this technique of human echolocation. He founded the non-profit World Access for the Blind and has thus far taught at least 500 blind children to see with their ears. He says, quote, "It isn't that difficult to teach. It really isn't. I believe that the brain is already at least partly wired to do this. All that needs to happen is the hardware needs to be awakened."
In a shocking turn of events, it appears as though a painting, long thought to be nearly worthless, has been actually discovered to have been painted by Leonardo da Vinci. The painting, known as Salvator Mundi, has long since been thought to have been the work of one of da Vinci's many students. However, upon closer examination, the painting style closely matches that of the Renaissance master. As reported by CNN, the painting was somehow lost from the royal collection in the late 18th century. Soon it wound up in the collection of Sir Frederick Cook in 1900. In 1958, the piece was sold for $125 to a museum where it sat for years. Art historians now say that the painting could be worth up to $200 million or more. What's even more intriguing is that the arrival of this painting gives credit to the idea that there may be more like it. As of now, records suggest that there were 20 original works that were sold in the market, but currently there have only been 15 that have been authenticated. This could mean that there's still 5 more pieces still unaccounted for. Art historians say that the next piece may be harder to find, however, because many of the works that have been recently found, such as the latest in 1909, had been painted over in an effort to repair or refurnish the painting. We now go to a weather update from Brittany Warr.
Thanks, guys. I'm Brittany with your weather, as they said before. Well, this week is week 8, and it's going to be pretty rainy, so you'll have a lot of fun in the library and won't have too much temptations. Monday, it'll be a high of 49 with a low of 39. Tuesday, it's looking pretty similar with a high of 48 and a low of 39. And it's pretty much straight across the board with a high of 48 and a low of 37 on Wednesday, a high of 48 and a low of 41 on Thursday, and Friday, a high of 49 and a low of 43. Not mixing it up too much, so get ready for the long haul. Bring your umbrellas, and good luck with your midterms. I'm Brittany. Thanks.
Brace yourself, Beavers. Winter is coming. Thanks, Brittany. For the first time since their iconic football coach and president were fired, tens of thousands of fans packed Penn State's football stadium to cheer the team on last Saturday, reports CNN. Joe Paterno and Graham Spanier were fired after it was felt that they did not do enough after learning of the alleged child sexual abuse by former coach Jerry Sandusky. Before their game against Nebraska, a moment of silence was held in honor of the victims. Players from both teams locked arms and knelt on one knee on the center of the field, and more than 100,000 fans were quiet for a minute. Interim coach Tom Bradley said, quote, "It was a day of solidarity for the children, for the victims. It was a touching moment. I felt that today, just maybe, the healing process started to begin," end quote. Sandusky was arrested on the 5th of November, though was later released on a $100,000 bail after being arraigned on 40 criminal counts. Going back as far as 15 years, Sandusky is said to have abused 8 young boys. The case will be undergoing further review in the coming days.
As a member of the Royal Air Force, Prince William, Duke of Cambridge, is heading off to the Falkland Islands this week to help conduct a search and rescue missions. Prince William has been part of the Royal Air Force for the past 3 years, having earned his wings in 2009, and as part of the unit's rotation, the Prince will be sent to the Falkland Islands as part of the round-the-clock search and rescue division designated for the area. As reported by CNN, the Falkland Islands consist of a group of islands off the coast of Argentina in the southern Atlantic. These islands have been under British control since 1833. In 1983, forces from Argentina tried to overrun British rule in the islands and take the area in the name of Argentina. But American and British forces pushed back and maintained this control. During his rotation to the islands, the Prince will be flying a Sea King rescue helicopter.
President Obama, alongside leaders from 21 nations, met in Hawaii Sunday to discuss the state of the economy. As reported by CNN, Obama viewed this Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit as an opportunity to push for renewed engagement with Asia, and in particular, to highlight the domestic jobs that increased exports to the region would create. This summit was the first time since the Clinton administration where nations from both sides of the Pacific met on U.S. soil. Obama stated, quote, "There have been some positive developments over the last week. A new potential government in Italy, a new government in Greece, both committed to applying the sort of internal structural reform that can give markets more confidence." End quote. Additionally, Obama personally met with Chinese President Hu Jintao to address alleged currency manipulation and the protection of the U.S. intellectual property from illegal use by Chinese companies and the government. Michael Froman, Deputy National Security Advisor, commented that the president made, quote, he made it very clear that the American people and the American business community were growing increasingly impatient and frustrated with the state of change in China's economic policy and the evolution of the U.S.-China economic relationship. It's now time for a final break of the evening, but we will have your international stories right here. You won't want to miss it.
G-morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. You up? What'd you dream about? Me? JK.
Text me back.
I'll keep texting till you wake up. Are your parents home later? Is this something I did?
Exclamation point,
We're in a huge
question
fight
mark?
right now. This isn't a joke. Hello? Text me.
Hair loss. Now this rash on my face. What's going on?
For answers, ask your doctor the right question.
Could I have lupus?
Explore new worlds. Read. Visit literacy.gov.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel like a fish with no water.
Learn how to prevent your child's next asthma attack. Because even one attack is one too many.
Join the dating game for laughs and fun.
What is your biggest pet peeve about the opposite sex?
I don't really like when girls say, "Oh my God!"
With one lucky guest looking for the answers, and if the contestants have got it, then they've bought it.
If you could be any animal, which one would you be?
Some sort of exotic bird.
A tiger, because they're ferocious.
The show will get you wondering who's getting the date and who's going home. Watch The Dating Game, Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. only on KBVR.
Welcome back to the Beaver News right here on KBVR. After nearly 8 months of quarantine, journalists were finally able to get a first-hand glance at the radiated area around Japan's Fukushima Daiichi nuclear facility. As reported by CNN, a 9-point magnitude earthquake releasing a massive tsunami hit Japan on the 11th of March. It killed more than 15,000 people almost instantly, and also caused a nuclear meltdown at the Daiichi plant, which is located approximately 150 miles north of Tokyo. It's been rated a level 7 event on the scale for nuclear disasters. This is the highest, and it puts it on par with the 1986 Chernobyl disaster. To prevent further radiation leaks and explosions, A 20-kilometer quarantine radius was placed around the plant as workers tried to gain control of the crisis. It was deemed safety enough to traverse last Saturday with the requirement of individuals wearing protective suits. According to Japan's Atomic Energy Commission, decommissioning the first 4 reactors will take more than 30 years to complete, but estimates on the decay of the radiation spill are yet unknown.
A heartwarming tale from Zambia this week involved a team of tourists and guides that helped save a baby elephant and her mother from a mud pit. As CNN reports, the pair of elephants were traveling in their herd and stopped to cool themselves off in a mud pit. However, after a few minutes, the mother and her child found that they could not get out of the pit no matter how much they tried. According to eyewitness reports, and the other members of the herd tried to help, but the elephants were too deep. After watching this display, the tourists and the guides of the Kapani Safari Lodge felt that they could help where the herd couldn't. Teams first removed the baby by trying to tie ropes around it and hauling it out of the pit. Then the team moved on to the mother, who they could tell was becoming very tired. Using a tractor, the team was able to reunite the 2 elephants on solid ground.
Following a devastating earthquake last month that left 604 people dead, another earthquake struck eastern Turkey last Wednesday, reports CNN. Reaching a 5.6 magnitude, the death toll from the latest quake has risen to 40 people. Survivors are starting to get frustrated. Sezmi Fazla, a resident of Van, a city in southeastern Turkey, said, quote, "We haven't gotten any aid. We got a lot of support from the people of Turkey, packages with everything from clothes to toothpaste. But the elected officials, the non-governmental organizations, are not making good use of it, and were not good at coordinating those efforts. To make matters worse, a heavy snowstorm has brewed, making rescue operations and survival extremely difficult. 26 people have been rescued since Wednesday."
Police in Switzerland are currently investigating an apparent hate crime against Muslims living in the country when an anonymous letter alerted them to the presence of several pig carcasses on a proposed mosque site. Islamic leaders of the area were appalled and outraged by this protest since they consider the pig and all pig products to be unclean. Therefore, the spreading of the creature's blood and the carcass across the landscape has temporarily tainted the land and will cause the construction of the mosque to be delayed. As reported by CNN, the letter did not give credit to any group in particular, but read, quote, "This operation was done to protest against the growing expansion of Islam in Switzerland," end quote. Currently, this has been one of the few reports of racial tensions between the people of Switzerland, and as of now, there are currently 500,000 Muslims living peacefully in a country with a total population of 7 million. Many speculate that this act is a replica of a very similar act in Spain that also caused the building of a mosque to be delayed. Overall, the members of the board who are determined to build a mosque are not deterred by this act, stating that they can simply start building when the rain naturally cleanses the earth. However, Abdel Aziz Kazim Ali, spokesman for Switzerland's Central Islamic Council, said the attack resonates on a personal level. Quote, "But on the other hand, it's an emotional thing. It means that there are actually people in this society who deny the rights of Muslims when it comes to a mosque in Switzerland, and this is something that hurts us," end quote. So far, no group has claimed responsibility for the attack.
Supporters of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad violently rallied Saturday night to oppose Syria's proposed removal from the Arab League, reports CNN. The Arab League, which is a committee of 22 regional Arab states, was created to strengthen ties among its member nations. They are calling for the removal of al-Assad after al-Assad's failure to abide by an Arab League proposal earlier this month to halt all violence against Syrian civilians. Syria has been locked in a state of uprising since March as its citizens fight to remove al-Assad from power. Thus far, more than 3,500 people have been killed in the government's suppression of these protests. The Syrian National Council, a leading opposition group, welcomed the League's decision, saying, quote, "The National Council emphasizes its readiness to participate in discussions regarding the transitional period within the scope of the Arab League to ensure the stepping down of Bashar al-Assad and the transition to a democratic government that represents the Syrian people and does not include anyone from the regime whose hands have been tainted with blood." That's all the news we have for you tonight, but be sure to tune in Wednesday evening for more of your local, national, and international news right here on KBVR.